Okay, so we're going to get started here just by creating an asset. So I'm going to start with a subnetwork here, and I'm just going to right-click on that. We'll create a digital asset, and we will call this one fall-off controller. We can just label that like that, fall-off controller here. I'll just use all lowercase letters. And I will just put that in my HIP directory here, and I will make an HDA folder for this. And if we want, we can also give it a like a version number. So that's version number 1. And then in the file name here, I'm going to _1_0. Okay, and that matches up. We'll click accept. And we can have a maximum of 1 input coming in, so that something can be parented to that. And then the parameters here, we probably are going to leave most of this where it needs to be. Subnet, we will make that invisible. Click apply. And most of that's pretty good. And now we'll need some stuff for our controllers in here. So I'm going to add on here a folder called controls. And then we will start to think about what kind of fall-off objects we're going to want in here, what kinds of shapes we're going to want. So we will go for an ordered menu here, and we'll just call this fall-off type. Go to our menu here and start typing stuff in. So we can say that we will use type names here. So I will call this sphere. So this is the actual code name for that, and this is the human readable label here. So I'm going to use all lower cases here, and then here I'll use an uppercase. We can call this cube or box. And we'll call this cylinder. We will give this one a torus. And then this one we will call a plane. And then finally, we will probably do a volume and then a surface. So why don't we do surface first, and then volume. Okay, so we'll have fall-off type, and then we're going to need an inner and outer radius for these. So we'll add another control here. Call this inner. And we'll call this one outer. Go to our defaults and default that to 1. And let's take a look at what we've got. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And I think the last thing I want to do is just make sure that parenting and everything works correctly in here. So I'm going to put a null here, parent that into that, and then take another null and go out, and let's make sure that everything is behaving the way it's supposed to be. All right, so it looks like it's behaving the way it should. We'll reset that. Click accept, and we'll save this node type. All right, now we'll go ahead and we'll just quickly link up just a couple of these. We'll link up the sphere and the box, and then later on we'll come back and plug these guys in. So I'm going to go into my subnet, and I'm going to put down an empty geo object here, which I will call control, and then I want to make sure that I parent that to my incoming transform there. So that way, if this is moving and parented, this is going to inherit the transformation from that. So inside here, we're going to put down a control object. I'm going to change this to circles. And now to set the size correctly, I'm going to take a look at a sphere, which is a 1 unit sphere, and template that. And I happen to know that the uniform scale needs to be 4 times larger for that to work. So we will make 2 of these, one for the inner radius, one for the outer, and the inner one we're going to make yellow. And then the outer one we're going to make red. Oops, was that size that I adjusted? That was. So let's make sure I'm adjusting color. I'm going to merge these 2 together. And we'll put these through a transformation here. I think I put caps lock on. There we go. All right, so I'm going to go up and I'm going to copy the inner and paste that into uniform scale. Grab the outer and paste that into uniform scale there. All right, and just to clean that up, we'll label that sphere. And now we'll do a box just by copy pasting. Change these to box, and uniform scale I'm going to set at 2. And again, I know that's the right scale just by putting down a 1 unit box. I can see that that matches up. I'm going to put a switch down here. And then underneath the switch, out. And then the switch is going to be connected to the fall off type. So I just pasted the relative reference in there. And now what we should see is that switching just like that. And we should have outer radius and inner radius working together, as well as our transform controls. And we should see that that should pick up any object that we have it parented to. And let me make sure I didn't accidentally just move that control. I did. So what I'm going to do is lock that so that cannot be selected. All right, good. So it looks like everything is currently working the way it should. So I'm just going to reset all this stuff and get rid of that null. And then we can save this asset.